Hi. We're working on Luke 16, and I think it's important to take the context, right? Going back to Luke 15, Jesus is speaking to all of his followers, all the people that are following him, this big crowd of people, and he tells those lost parables, right? The lost sheep, the lost coin, the lost sons, and he's speaking to the crowd, knowing, of course, that the Pharisees aren't really quite listening to him, and they're getting upset at him. Then he turns his attention at the beginning of 16 to his disciples, right? He says, and he gives them that great confusing parable of the dishonest manager, which concludes with that statement, you cannot serve God and wealth. Powerful statement, right? Well, then, right before this morning's gospel lesson, we have just a few verses, and it begins by Jesus turning to the Pharisees, right? And the Pharisees, and it says, who were lovers of money, right? Saying this very next verse after, you cannot serve God and wealth, it says, they love money, right? And they ridiculed him. So Jesus responds, right? He responds by saying, justify yourselves in the sight of others, but God knows your hearts. For what is prized by human beings is an abomination in the sight of God. So it's setting up this thing. God loves, God is with the poor. God thinks it's abominable, right? That there is a separation between the wealthy and the poor. God hates it, right? So this is a parable about money. It's a parable about the separation of the wealthy and the poor, right? And that's clearly where most of us are going to go. I'm moved by this, what happens right at the end, this great piece in which the story turns, and this wealthy man is saying to Abraham, well, send somebody, warn my family. And Abraham says, well, they've got Moses and the prophets. They're going to be fine. He says, but no. Seriously, send somebody. The miraculous will tell them that they'll learn something from the miracle, and then they'll believe. Then save them from torment. And Abraham said, if they do not listen to Moses and the prophets, neither will they be convinced, even if someone rises from the dead. I'm reminded, because I've heard this enough times, that of how we want to send the collar out, that the collar changes things, right? And I was there. I had that same feeling, that the collar is different, right? We send people out, when we invite people to go out into the world, and they say, no, but if you go, you've got a collar. They'll listen to you. They won't listen to me. The collar makes a difference. Jesus seems to say the opposite. That who is sending the message is not important, because if they don't hear it, they won't hear it. They need to hear from Moses and the prophets. It's not about you. Right? And that what's provocative too is Jesus is telling this to the Pharisees and the scribes, the very people who aren't listening. He's saying it doesn't matter who's sending the message. If it's not heard, it's not going to be heard. I wonder what this means for us as we go out and proclaim the good news when not everyone will hear it. They may not hear this part, or they may not hear the part about the well. For more, check out my site, drewdowns.net. So go, munch on it, and proclaim it. Peace.